Hello, everybody. I am Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. I'm a wisdom weaver who weaves tarot, numerology with the astrology and more to weave the wisdom of the cosmos. Excuse me. So we are almost at the solstice and we have a Capricorn full moon. And since they are, we have the solstice and then a few hours later we have the Capricorn full moon, I am going to make one video for both. So we will be looking at the numerology and symbols for the full moon as usual. But first we are going to have a look at the solstice chart. So the solstice is the moment that the sun enters the sign of Cancer, the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, of course, it's your winter solstice. And it's always the turning of the wheel. Okay, the solstice is the turning of the wheel. We have, this is where the light shifts, literally the word, solstice means sun stands at the stillness because the sun sits still for about 3 days. So the solstice is a time of turning. Okay. And we've been through a lot of these lately with a lot of aspects to the lunar nodes and with various other turnings, with a lot of planets changing signs, and we have a lot more to come. But this is the Cancer solstice, summer in the north, winter in the south. So I'm not going to look at the numbers yet because we're going to look at the solstice chart. Then we're going to switch to the Capricorn full moon. So let me share the astrology chart first of all. But while I find that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I always answer in some way so that you get a little hi back or a heart or a thumbs up as a thank you for commenting. And just if you would help spread my channel, if you would watch the videos to the end, that would be really helpful, or just leave them running. And, you know, as much interaction as possible will really help grow this channel. Okay, so the solstice is on June the 20th this year at 4:51 p.m. and that is Washington, D.C. Eastern Time. So as always, this will happen at the same moment globally, but it will be a different time for where, dependent on where you are. So this, because this is Eastern, that's 1:51 p.m. Pacific, 2:51 p.m. Mountain, where I am, 3:51 p.m. Central. It will be 9:51 p.m. in the UK, Universal Time. And for Australia and places, it will actually take place on the 21st, early on the 21st. So you can see that this is the point where the sun enters the 0-degree mark of Cancer. I've kind of done a lot of lines on here this time. I'm trying to make the astrology really clear. But what I've highlighted in blue are all the energies either at the 0 or very early degrees of the signs. And I'll be talking about all of that in a minute. But first we have the Sun, Venus, and Mercury still conjunct. The Venus and Mercury, we had the new Venus star point at 14 Gemini on June the 4th. And the Sun and Venus are still carrying on together. Venus will be under the beams of the Sun until around July the 10th. July the 10th, dependent on where you are in the world and what elevation, where you are off the equator. Mercury is now 7.5 degrees past the Sun. So Mercury is speeding away from the sun after the June the 14th cazimi at 24 Gemini, and Mercury is going to appear pretty soon. Right now, Jupiter is appearing in the sky from under the beams of the sun. As I record this, I am recording this on June the, what date are we on? 12th, June the 12th. So 8 days before this. So things are changing in that way. But the sun has moved from Gemini into Cancer. And this chart really kind of sets the scene a little bit for the months ahead, or so it's believed, at least. So the first thing I'll say is that with Mercury and Venus, the two most personal planets, and the sun, the luminary that is our core, right here together in the same sign, is this real shift for us personally. Okay. But then look at what else we have around 0 degrees. We have Vesta at 0 degrees Leo. Vesta is the inner flame, sacred inner flame of commitment and devotion and protection of the hearth. And Vesta has moved into the sign of Leo, which rules the heart, but is also the sign of royalty. And Vesta is in a sextile aspect to Sedna, who has an 11,406-year orbit. And so this is really activating these big shifts and changes at 0 degrees. Let's stick with the 0 degree mark and the dwarf planets first of all. Haumea is at 0 degrees as well. She is the creatrix who gives birth from every part of her body. She's the great mother of the Hawaiian pantheon, and she has this regenerative, fecund, rebirth kind of quality of and very connected with rebirth of the earth, the natural world. And then we also have Pluto. Pluto is still at 1 degree, but moving back to the 0 degree mark. And Pluto and Haumea are in this long-term square. They're heading towards the 6th of 13 squares, not even halfway through. This square carries on till 2028. But Pluto is heading back towards Haumea, and so they are all being aspected by the sun too. So it's a lovely watery trine to Haumea. It is actually a quincunx, an aspect of adjustment to Pluto. And this sextile here between Sedna and Vesta suggests with fire and air that we are really writing this new story. I know I keep saying writing this new story, but we are. And then Hecate over here is aspecting the sun as well. Hecate, there she is, the keeper of the keys to heaven, to the mind, body, spirit, the three worlds, the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. She was the triple moon goddess. She was one of the triple goddesses. She was actually Demeter's companion when she went hunting for Persephone after Persephone was lost. This is the myth that I use in my Venus retrograde heroine's journey class. That's coming up starting next February. I know, ages away, but I'm going to be teaching the Venus Star Point work for my Nest members starting at the end of July. So consider joining the Nest private community if you would like to learn the Venus Star Point work, and then you'll also get a stonking great discount off the Venus retrograde heroine's journey class. Not free because it's a lot of work, but you will get a huge discount. Anyway, so all of this at 0 degrees, this is new. This is like, new beginnings. The Fool's card is 0. This is taking a big leap, taking a risk with 3 of the really slower moving planets, like Sedna particularly. This is big paradigm shift. But then consequently as well, and Hecate is kind of showing the way, unlocking the keys. She is the way shower with the lamp kind of shining on it. And Vesta is saying the way is through the heart. So that's called the new, seeing with the eye of the heart. Okay. Now then, we also have just at the very anaretic or last degrees of signs. So really they are aspecting the sun as well, just slightly out of sign, but almost in exact opposition. We have Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. She often represents shame and vulnerability, where we've been shamed and thrown out and made out to be the kind of bad guy of the whole story. And she's parts where we feel shame usually. And because she's Black Moon Lilith and related to the moon cycle, it is emotion. So it's the emotion of shame and vulnerability, right? And she is opposing Neptune, who is there at the very anaretic liminal degree of Pisces too. Now then, Neptune is about to station retrograde though. Neptune will station retrograde on July the 2nd. So, this will be 12 days after this full moon. But Neptune is really slow moving. It's 165 years orbit, and that degree is very potent as well. So Neptune is kind of about to turn tides. So we've got all these new beginnings at 0 degrees and all these endings and letting go. And Neptune like turning like a big tidal wave, pulling all that water back in, going, we are going to change here. We are going to change. Surrender, let go, and trust. And this is let go of the shame and come into wholeness in mind, body, and spirit in the sign of Virgo, saying it's time, to take back your agency, to look after the agency of your holistic health. That doesn't mean to take all your own medicine and make herbal medicines, but it's kind of this different approach of not just trusting like them, for example, I don't know, an oncologist or a guy, whatever. But it's also not being a complete skeptic, because Virgo is a very scientific sign as well, very detail-oriented sign. But it's about doing your diligence. Have you kind of done your due diligence? And are you finding meaning? And are you finding that there could be things that you could be doing that will help your holistic health rather than just giving your agency away? You get the idea. But on the solstice as well, interestingly, it's Scorpio rising in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to share the US chart, but if we look at Joe Biden's chart, his Mars is right on this ascendant. I kind of like that actually for the solstice, but that's enough of that. Then we have the moon. The moon is in Sagittarius. And in mundane astrology, the moon is generally people. And the moon is in Sagittarius at the cusp of the second house of self-worth and self-esteem. And this is visionary. This is kind of going, yes, we can, create this. We can set our intentions to create what we desire for, truth and freedom. Truths are going to come out in the next 6 months after this. Okay, right through the election, interestingly. The moon is in lovely aspects. It aspects the nodes. So again, another turning point. It's a trine to the north node, pushing us more towards that agency kind of thing, this self-individuation, self-awareness. What can I do to be the change? But the moon also is in a semi-sextile to Ceres, our unmet and met needs in society, Capricorn, and Chariklo, the grace spinner and cosmic doula in Aquarius. These three are making this lovely mini grand trine, if you like, that is fire, earth, and air. And Ceres is in the middle. It kind of feels like big ideas, visionary ideas to meet for how we can help meet these unmet needs. All right. Now, the other aspect from the moon on the solstice is a T-square to Juno. That's almost exact. She is the sacred contracts asteroid that marriage of all opposites, and she's in Virgo, coming into that Virgo wholeness again, finding meaning, being discerning, but opposing Juno pretty widely. But because the moon's approaching them, I'm going to say that we have Saturn here, and Nessus, the revealer of generational abuse and trauma patterns that can go back like 10 generations kind of thing. Now, Saturn is approaching Nessus at the moment. Nessus is just stationed retrograde, but Saturn and Nessus don't quite meet till next year, because Saturn is stationing retrograde on June the 29th, so just 9 days after this. So that's another big tide turning aspect that I think is going to churn up and reveal more truths. All right. So, overall, this applies everywhere in the world. So I'm not going to go too much about where it's set and the house placements, but I will say that it is a big turning point with a lot of new beginnings. So I'll come back to the chart for the Capricorn full moon in a minute, but first I want to say it's one Capricorn, it's a full moon, so this is an opposition. So we have the moon in Capricorn and the sun in Cancer, and that's the same every year, of course, for the Cancer for the Capricorn full moon, but it's always at a different degree. This one is at 1 degree, which is new beginnings, creation. So here we go, more new beginnings, all right? More independence, more motivation, more uniqueness, more striving towards progress, more willpower, more positivity, more positiveness. And it's the pioneering raw energy force, number one. It's often said to be masculine, but really, that's nothing to do with men or women. One is just new beginnings. It's powerful. And number one really encourages us to step out of our comfort zones and reminds us that we create our own reality with our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And I've been studying the law of attraction for for a long time. So this "we create our reality" is not that kind of shame and blame thing. Remember, we've got Neptune opposing Black Moon Lilith, saying that we chose this if we have, an unlucky night. But we can change how we see things, okay? And we can change how we react and respond to things. So I'll be doing a lot more of that kind of work with the nest as well, for the next Venus cycle, going from the Gemini star point right through till March next year, 9.5 months, a pregnancy of birthing new perceptions. We'll be doing a lot of work with changing your perspective, because words create worlds. So anyway, that's the number one. This is about clear self-identity, clear values, being resolute, desiring action, seeking new paths. So not only do we have all those planets around the 0 degree mark, we also have a 1 degree full moon. And a full moon is generally a release, okay? So it's a release of comfort zones in Cancer. Cancer can be very protective and very sensitive, and pull its pincers in and pull its shell down, Cancer the crab. So the moon is staring straight at Cancer, which is the moon sign, saying, come on, you have to take a bit of a leap out of your comfort zones, all right, to create your reality. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the chart for the full moon. So we'll go back here and then just go to the full moon. All righty, so here's the full moon. So as if you remember on the solstice chart, we had the moon in Sagittarius, but now the moon, by the next day, just over 24 hours later, 9:07 p.m. on the 21st, on Venus Day, Friday, in Washington, DC, but that's 6:07 p.m. Pacific. This will be on the 22nd for most people, the Capricorn full moon, all right? And so we can see that the moon is in opposition to the sun. And again, looking at all these 0-degree marks, you know, we've still got Venus, we've still got Mercury there, we've still got Hecate there, we've still got Sedna there. We do have Mercury square to Mars, and I forgot to point that out on the solstice. So this is like Mars is ready to take action on these ideas that have been emerging. If you can see by the next day after the solstice, Mercury is, so let's just go back. So here we go. Here's the sun and here's Mercury. So 7.5 degrees apart. By the next day, just over 24 hours later, so 1, 2, this is almost 9 degrees. Yeah, almost 9 degrees apart. Mercury is moving really fast. Mercury is, when it reaches 10 degrees, it's officially out from under the beams of the sun. So Mercury is going to emerge blinking with all these new ideas, with a big old push from Mars going manifest, manifest, manifest. All right. We've got many of the same aspects, though, that I pointed out on the solstice chart. Lots of new beginnings, lots of shifts, lots of change. We're also, you know, another day closer to Saturn stationing retrograde. We've still got Neptune opposing Black Moon Lilith. So releasing and letting go some of that really old shame and vulnerability from, you know, decades and centuries, if you like, especially around the kind of divine feminine energy in all of us, I have to say. The patriarchy has damaged everybody, men, women, you know, everybody. I will point out as well, though, that on both the solstice and the full moon, Mercury is opposing Pholus. Pholus is the Pandora's box asteroid. Pholus is actually stationing. I should have looked at that. My bad. So Pholus is stationing retrograde too. No, Pholus has been retrograde for a while. So he's been retrograde for a while. Oops. So, but this opposition is like more things coming out, especially with Mercury about to emerge from under the beams, under a full moon, under the bright light of the full moon of both like sun and moon. So both luminaries shining a light on things. And the sun opposing the moon in Capricorn, Mercury opposing Pholus. I think, you know, more is going to emerge around the structures that we live under, our governments, our Supreme Courts, all people like that. Something is going to come out from that lid, because Pholus expression, according to the wonderful Melanie Reinhardt, is the lid comes off. It's like the lid's off, and now these Mercury fully, you know, charged up from being under the sun is now going to go, okay, this could rock something. So expect something to come out at or just after this full moon. Now, there's not a huge amount I want to say otherwise about this chart, because we've looked at things. This is a very big point. You know, a full moon is a fulfillment and a turning point as well. On Dane Rudyard, he's kind of said this is, you know, he did the moon phases, with the first quarter being a crisis in action, and I'm recording this under that kind of point. But after the first quarter moon, of course, then the moon approaches fullness, and we really kind of reach the overcoming phase and the fulfillment of what we set intention for on the new moon on June the 6th, and also 6 months ago for the Capricorn new moon. So things that began then, seeds that were planted, something's coming to fulfillment. And this, then we start releasing and shedding again as well. So some things have, outlived their usefulness by the time of the full moon. So it's a powerful 2 days, June 20th and 21st here, June 21st and 22nd for a lot of you. Always adjust for your time zones, but we'll feel it building, and it's gonna be full moon for about 3 days. We're actually in the full moon phase. So for the solstice, this is a powerful, powerful point, okay, of change and new beginnings. Again, not just a regular solstice. I think this, looking at what's led to it and what's come through it, this is going to be another big turning point. I do think one of the keys is fullness here. I think new things are going to really kind of emerge about things that need to change and need to be restructured or torn down and rebuilt. I do have some cards though, so the cards will give us a bit more information about that. So I'm going to read the symbols first of all for the full moon. And so we always go up, so it's up to 2 Capricorn. And this one, actually, I'm going to read the Chandra symbols first because I want to come back to this Sabian symbol. So we go to Capricorn 2, and John Sandbach, who incidentally is being interviewed on the summit that's going on right now by Suzanne Gerber. I'll post a link again in the description. My interview is airing from the 25th to the 27th. I think so, but I'm really looking forward to hearing John Sandbach talk about his symbols. But the Omega symbol for Capricorn 2 is a painting which causes those who see it to become silent. And he said this is a manifesting sensitive degree. And he says this degree knows how to induce receptivity in other people. That is, how to get them to receive information more deeply through catching them off guard. Often without knowing, it has a compelling presence and can trigger thoughts and awareness in people which it didn't mean to. It can open up new and unexpected ways of seeing, as if that's not been happening enough. But anyway, the Chandra symbol for this degree is a wisdom tooth that has been removed from someone's mouth. It is plated with gold. This is an image of a centralizing of truth, the distilling of wisdom down to its simplest, most concentrated form, like the painting of the Omega symbol, that is so compelling as an experience. It silences all debate, speculation, and criticism. This degree is about cutting away the dead wood of knowledge, paring down to what's clear. What we think we know is so often very different to what we really know. But when stress is great enough and crisis occurs, we find out the difference between the two. And the eternal is clearly separated from the illusory. The truth of that degree, this degree, is that we eventually we realize that we are the wisdom we seek. Well, we are everything we seek, really. So how I kind of read these symbols is just, I mean, this is Capricorn. This is stopped dead in our tracks, really. It's like stopped all this Gemini chatter that we've got going on and something comes through and we see something through this light that kind of stops us in our tracks. So that's going to be interesting, right? So the Sabian symbol to Capricorn. I'm going to read Dane Rudyard's version of the symbol because it's the more original one. 3 rose windows in a Gothic church, 1 damaged by war. I'm going to read James Burgess's interpretation, then I'm going to say something about it. So he said, this is the threat of destruction. Beauty is one of the first casualties of war, experiencing destruction and entropy with awareness. What could possibly justify war as a helpful factor in the evolution of our species? He's going on a bit of a rant, really. Creating artworks in order to manifest beauty and enacting war in order to manifest power are not activities that can be easily reconciled. Creativity and destruction are normally polar opposites, yet we learn that the community we belong to is as much defined by its attitude to war as by its beautiful old churches. We live constantly in a cycle of creation and destruction, and we need to come to terms with that. Now then, I do want to say though, because I work with Venus, and again, I'll be teaching the Venus cycle to the Nest community as well as the other calls from the end of July. Rose windows. Venus is the rose. Her cycle makes this beautiful rose pattern. The rose windows are said to represent the Magdalene and the Marys, but I think it's actually Venus personally. And, you know, this says there's 3 rose windows, and let's say there's mind, body, spirit in the 3. This is the Holy Trinity, if you like, and 1 has been destroyed by all this patriarchal fighting, war, the fact we've been under very Martian and warlike time for quite a long time has, you know, literally kind of tried to destroy the divine feminine, for want of a better word, and not just women. So, you know, this is kind of the war on women, kind of the war on the divine feminine, the war on anything that is yin and feeling and emotion. I kind of think this symbol is saying that we are going to really see very clearly how the structures of our society have kind of come together to destroy or to damage at least one of those rose windows. Interesting that it's in a church, a Gothic church, and that's really the Christian church is really the structure that has run a lot of the patriarchal ethos that we've been living under. So I really kind of think something is going to really come out, and we really become aware of the web of deceit and everything that is has been coming together to do that. And then, of course, though, awareness brings the opportunity to change. Okay, right then. So we'll go on to the cards. So again, don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, check out the Nest, see if you want to join so you can come and learn the Venus star point work and also other things in the community. And let's share the cards. And again, we are using the Lightseers Tarot. I'm really into this one at the moment. I just change every now and again. And these are the 3 cards we got. Okay, so first we get Judgment. Okay, and that card is the 20. And this is self-realization and understanding, a spiritual awakening, knowing your motives and your heart to be true, total transparency, soul searching, a reckoning, and a glorious unveiling of spirit and an epiphany. So I think for us personally, this is going to be a moment of epiphany and really kind of this awakening and this realization of self and understanding within the greater system we're in about where we're going. Now then, we move to the Seven of Swords, though. What is coming out of that box, the Pandora's box of fullness? This can indicate deception or trickery. Okay, it's the universe bearing witness to true intentions or revealing them, things that have been gotten away with. Okay, but it's also personally about using a bit of stealth and strategy and being grateful for the resources you have to weather what's coming out, okay, the news that is being revealed. So this for you really is being a strategic stealth path, using a little bit of cunning here, and kind of whatever you see, something's going to be revealed, and whatever you see about deception and trickery, you're going to have to be careful how you kind of just deal with that. But then the last card is the Six of Pentacles. Just look at that. That's kind of the fulfillment of this full moon to my mind. This is the Venus pentacle. The pentacles are the earth element. So this is Venus here. This is her rose. Look at these cards. They're gorgeous. But this is the two-way abundance of giving and receiving. This is being charitable, a positive and generous mindset, financial advancement, and an awakening and being in flow. So if you really kind of step into, oh, why am I still sharing? Oh, I was sharing the cards, that's why. Sorry about that. Let's look at them again. This involving what's been revealed, that's just kind of like, okay, I'll store this away and I will kind of maybe do this a bit differently and extricate myself from that. But the other two cards are just beautiful awakening cards. Look at this. And the Six of Pentacles, fabulous. I am Well, I keep saying, I really believe that we are stepping into creating something way better. We just have to kind of get through this chaos at the moment. Oh, just a little sip. Oh, by the way, look at this. I sell mugs, by the way. I've got a little merch store below. T-shirt. Oh, this is not one of mine. T-shirts, mugs. I think there's bags. Anyway, it's a big 2 days, big solstice, having a full moon on the solstice, all those new beginnings, all those endings, letting go and things being revealed. Wow. So until next time, I say goodbye from the Cosmic Owl and much love to you.